The classic sci-fi series Lost in Space, 1965 to 1968, took audiences on thrilling intergalactic adventures, yet behind the cameras, many of its actors faced struggles far removed from the fictional dangers of space. From personal hardships to unforeseen accidents and tragic deaths, the real-life journeys of these 49 performers were often marked by pain and adversity. Some battled long illnesses, while others met sudden and heartbreaking ends. Despite their contributions to one of television's most beloved cult classics, time has seen many fade into quiet remembrance. Today, we pay tribute to these actors, not just for their roles in Lost in Space, but for the trials they endured in their own lives. In this video, we honor their legacies, ensuring their stories are not truly lost. Guy Williams, best known for his role as Dr. John Robinson in Lost in Space, 1965 to 1968, left an indelible mark on television as the ideal father figure and brilliant scientist leading the Robinson family through the vast challenges of space. His success in this role, combined with his earlier portrayal of Zorro, cemented his status as a television icon. However, his real-life journey was fraught with struggles. After Lost in Space concluded, Williams' career began to slow, prompting him to leave Hollywood and settle in Argentina, where he remained beloved by fans. Despite this, his later years were marked by loneliness and personal setbacks. His marriage to Janice Cooper fractured, though they never formally divorced, and financial missteps gradually depleted his wealth. Tragically, Williams passed away from a brain aneurysm on April 30, 1989, in his Buenos Aires apartment. His body was not discovered until days later, closing the chapter on a 65-year life that balanced moments of glory with profound hardship as a man who once portrayed a hero on screen. Jonathan Harris, who played the cunning yet cowardly Dr. Zachary Smith in Lost in Space, 1965 to 1968, brought to life one of the series' most memorable and iconic characters. His sharp acting and sardonic humor made Smith both a humorous antagonist and a beloved character. However, his success in this role became a double-edged sword, as Harris found himself typecast and struggled to find diverse opportunities in the industry. Despite his public charm and undeniable talent, his personal life was marked by isolation. Harris married Gertrude Bregman in 1938, and the couple remained together for over 6 decades, though their relationship was often strained by his work obsession and bouts of depression. His relationship with their only son, Richard, was also distant. While no longer at the peak of his career, Harris maintained financial stability through real estate investments, leaving an estate valued at around $3 million. In his later years, Harris stayed connected to Hollywood, though his health began to decline. He passed away on November 3, 2002, at the age of 87 from a blood clot in his heart, marking the end of a remarkable career and the life of a talented actor who left an enduring legacy on screen. Mark Goddard, who portrayed the courageous yet hot-tempered Major Don West in Lost in Space, 1965 to 1968, is remembered for his role as a daring pilot always ready to defend the Robinson family. However, after the series concluded, Goddard's acting career never regained the same momentum. Instead, he discovered a new passion as a special education teacher, a role he found far more fulfilling than Hollywood fame. Goddard's personal life was marked by 3 marriages, including one to actress Susan Anspach, which ended in divorce. A lover of classic cars, Goddard lived modestly on a small estate in Hingham, Massachusetts, with a fluctuating net worth around $2 million. In his later years, he battled pulmonary fibrosis and, after years of struggle, passed away on October 10, 2023, at the age of 87. His death marked the end of a life that saw both great accomplishments on screen and significant personal challenges. Dee Hartford, who played the robot Verda in Lost in Space, 1966, may have had a brief role, but she left a lasting impression as a mysterious and captivating character. Before her appearance on the show, Hartford had a career as a model and supporting actress, often overshadowed by her former husband, renowned director Howard Hawks. Their marriage ended in divorce, and Hartford never remarried, choosing to live a solitary life. She had no children and, in her later years, led a peaceful, reclusive life in Palm Desert, California. Financially, she maintained a modest estate, including a house and a few personal vehicles valued at around $1 million. With no direct heirs, her estate passed to extended family after her passing. Over time, she withdrew from public life, and her contributions to Hollywood became a small but significant part of cinematic history. Dee Hartford lived to be 90 and passed away on October 21, 2018, of natural causes, closing the life of a talented yet private woman who left behind memorable moments in the film world. Albert Salmi, who portrayed Alonzo P. Tucker in Lost in Space, 1966, was a rugged and powerful actor often cast in supporting roles, gaining respect within the film industry. However, his personal life was marked by turbulence and inner struggles. Starting his career with stage roles, Salmi faced challenges in securing major opportunities in film, limiting his career's potential. His personal life was equally chaotic, with 2 failed marriages, first to Peggy and Garner, with whom he had a daughter, Catherine, and then to Roberta Pollock Taper, which also ended in heartbreak, leading to estrangement from his family. Financially, Salmi was never wealthy, owning a modest home in Spokane, Washington, and a few old cars, with his estate valued at around $500,000 at the time of his death. His greatest tragedy occurred on April 22, 1990, when he took his own life after murdering his wife in a murder-suicide, ending his life at the age of 63. Salmi's death not only marked a personal tragedy but also cast a dark shadow over his Hollywood legacy. Fritz Feld, who played Mr. Zumdish in Lost in Space, 1966, had a long and memorable career in Hollywood, known for his distinctive lip-smack gesture, which became a signature in humorous and quirky roles. Though a character actor, he made a lasting impact in many films, particularly with his unique ability to evoke laughter and his natural acting talent. His personal life, particularly his marriage to actress Virginia Christine, was one of stability, though tension arose when she became the famous Mrs. Olson in Folgers coffee commercials, overshadowing his own career. The couple had no children and left their estate to distant relatives. Financially, Feld lived a comfortable but unflashy life, owning a modest home in Los Angeles and a collection of memorabilia from his decades in Hollywood. His estate, valued at around $1 million, was mostly tied to real estate and film memorabilia. In his later years, his health declined, and on November 18, 1993, he passed away at age 93 from natural causes, marking the end of a long life dedicated to the entertainment industry. Michael Rennie, known for his role as the Keeper in Lost in Space in 1966, was one of the standout leading actors of the 1950s, best known for his role in The Day the Earth Stood Still. Although initially successful, by the 1960s, his career began to decline, forcing him to accept roles in television, including his memorable part in Lost in Space. Michael Rennie's real-life journey was also filled with struggles in his personal life. He went through 2 failed marriages, first to Maggie McGrath, with whom he had a son, David Rennie, and second to actress Renee Gilbert. Both marriages ended in failure, leaving him with much sorrow. In his later years, weakened by emphysema, Rennie lived a reclusive life in his home in Harrogate, England. Despite having a net worth of around $1 million, which included a house and a valuable collection of film memorabilia, financial struggles in his later years saw his wealth diminish. On June 10, 1971, at age 61, Michael Rennie passed away from the disease. Though his life was marked by many ups and downs, his career, particularly in the science fiction genre, ensured his lasting place in film history. Leonard Stone, best known for his role as Farnham in Lost in Space in 1967, had a long and successful acting career spanning several decades. Although he is most remembered for playing Violet Beauregard's father in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, his role in Lost in Space was just one of many guest appearances throughout his career. Leonard Stone's real-life journey was also filled with challenges. He married Carol Kleinman and had 4 children, but balancing work and family was always a difficult equation for him. Despite this, financially, he was more successful than many supporting actors, owning a beautiful home in Encinitas, California, several valuable cars, and an estimated net worth of $1.5 million. However, in the later years of his life, Leonard Stone faced serious health problems. After a long battle with cancer, he passed away on November 2, 2011, at the age of 87. Despite facing many hardships in life, his legacy will always be tied to his resilience and his ability to never give up on the career he loved, no matter the circumstances. Marcel Hilaire, who played Junkman in Lost in Space in 1967, had a distinctive acting career shaped by his European background, elegant demeanor, and unique voice. However, this typecasting often meant he rarely landed lead roles, leaving him frustrated and not fully satisfied with his career. While he owned a comfortable home in Los Angeles and had financial stability, Hilaire lived frugally and never indulged in luxury. In terms of his personal life, he was married twice, but both marriages ended in divorce, and he had no children, which left him feeling lonely in his later years. Friends remembered him for his melancholic nature, as he lamented having no family to carry on his legacy. Hilaire's assets, valued around $1 million, included a rare book collection and a vintage car he seldom used. Despite not building a family, he maintained his wealth through careful financial management. Marcel Hilaire passed away on January 1, 1988, at the age of 79, of natural causes. Though he never reached the career heights he had hoped for, he left a mark on the film industry with his role as Junkman and his perseverance throughout his challenging career. Robert Folk, who played Cragmire in Lost in Space in 1967, was a long-time supporting actor with a steady career, but he never truly stood out. Though he appeared in numerous films and TV shows, often taking on minor roles, he was never fully recognized beyond the affection of cinema fans. Folk's life was also not without struggles, as his marriage, despite seeming solid, was strained by distance caused by his work and long professional commitments, creating an emotional gap between him and his wife. They had a son, who eventually left Hollywood in search of a quieter life away from the spotlight. In his later years, Folk faced serious health issues, particularly respiratory problems. As his condition worsened, he lived a reclusive life, no longer participating much in public activities. His estate, which included a modest home in Los Angeles and a small collection of antiques, was valued around $1 million. Robert Folk passed away on February 25, 1989, at the age of 80 due to respiratory failure. Though he was never widely recognized like many of his colleagues, he left a solid mark on the film industry, remaining a quiet figure in the shadows. Don Matheson, who played IDAK Alpha 12 in Lost in Space in 1965, made a brief but memorable appearance that left an impression on audiences. After this role, he struggled to find steady acting work, leading him to take on various jobs outside the entertainment industry to make ends meet. His personal life was also tumultuous, with his first marriage to actress Deanna Lund ending in divorce, creating a life filled with instability. They had a daughter, Michelle, who later became an actress herself. Despite financial instability, Matheson maintained a modest home in Woodland Hills, California, and a collection of memorabilia from his acting days. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at around $1 million, thanks to careful financial management. Don Matheson passed away on June 29, 2014, at the age of 84 due to lung cancer. His legacy lives on through his family, with his daughter preserving many of his cherished memorabilia, continuing the marks he left on the film industry. Despite facing numerous challenges, Don Matheson was a resilient figure, persistently striving in both his personal and professional life. Alan Melvin, who played Enforcer Claudio in Lost in Space in 1966, had a long television career, primarily associated with comedic roles, which sometimes overshadowed his true acting potential. Although he had financial stability and a long-lasting family life with his wife Amalia Melvin for over 50 years, he never fully felt artistically satisfied. The supporting roles he frequently played did not allow him to showcase his full acting abilities, leaving him feeling unrecognized. Despite having a stable family life, Alan Melvin's work often took him away from home, presenting challenges in their relationship. Melvin owned an estate valued around $2 million, including a home in Los Angeles and a collection of classic cars, much of which was preserved by his family as heirlooms. Alan Melvin passed away on January 17, 2008, at the age of 84 due to cancer. Though his career was mostly tied to comedic roles, Alan Melvin left a lasting impression on audiences, and his family continues to honor his legacy with deep respect. Warren Oates, who played Jimmy Hapgood in Lost in Space in 1965, was a talented actor known for his ability to portray strong, diverse characters. However, his private life was filled with excess and instability. Although he married actress Teddy Oates and had 2 children, his passion for acting often took precedence over family, leading to tension and conflict in their relationship. His workaholic nature and reckless lifestyle resulted in a marriage that could never be repaired, despite several attempts at reconciliation. Oates indulged in expensive cars and motorcycles, but with poor financial management, his assets were only valued at about $1 million, including a home in Los Angeles and a collection of rare motorcycles. Debts and legal costs significantly reduced his wealth. Warren Oates passed away on April 3, 1982, at the age of 53 from a heart attack. Despite a life filled with highs and lows, Oates remained a talented actor who left a lasting impact on the film industry. Hoke Howell, who played the guard in Lost in Space in 1965, had a long career in film and television but never achieved lasting recognition. Although he participated in numerous roles, His career was unstable, leading to financial struggles throughout his life. Both of his marriages ended in divorce, and his relationships with his children became strained, with little contact in his later years. His job instability led to bouts of depression, and he often relied on emotional support from friends. His estate, valued at around $500,000, included a small house in Burbank, California, an old Cadillac, and a collection of memorabilia from his acting career. However, a lack of sound financial planning led to disputes over his estate after his death. Hoke Howell passed away on May 9, 1997, at the age of 67 from heart failure. His life and career may not have been smooth, but he left a mark on the hearts of friends and fans who admired him. Retta Shaw, who played Aunt Clara Sims in Lost in Space in 1965, was a prominent actress known for her commanding screen presence. However, behind the spotlight, she struggled with loneliness. Despite dedicating herself fully to her acting career, she never married and often expressed regret for not having a family of her own. She was described by friends as warm yet cautious, never allowing others to get too close. In her later years, Retta Shaw's health declined, particularly due to her lifelong smoking habit, which led to respiratory issues that made her weak and breathless. She owned a comfortable home in Los Angeles, filled with valuable antiques, and had a modest savings account worth $1 million. Despite financial stability, her final years were mainly spent in isolation, with only a few relatives visiting from time to time. Retta Shaw passed away on January 8, 1982, at the age of 69, due to emphysema. Her legacy is still remembered for her strong performances and tireless dedication to her craft. Michael J. Pollard, who played the boy in Lost in Space in 1966, was a unique and eccentric talent with a quirky personality that made him both loved and misunderstood. Although his career saw many brilliant moments, his reluctance to conform to Hollywood standards caused him to miss out on major opportunities and face financial difficulties. Despite being married once, his relationship ended in divorce, and he also had a distant relationship with his only daughter. Pollard spent lavishly on vintage cars, collectibles, and unconventional investments, often ignoring financial advice, leading to lifelong financial struggles. His estate, which included a house in Los Angeles and a rare vintage car collection, was valued at around $1.5 million, though much of his wealth had been dissipated by the time of his death. Family disputes over his prized car collection dragged on for years, with tense legal battles. Michael J. Pollard passed away on November 20, 2019, at the age of 80, from heart failure. Despite a life filled with ups and downs, he is remembered as a talented and distinctive actor in the hearts of his fans. Royal Dano, who played Colonel Domo in Lost in Space in 1966, had a distinguished career with a deep, resonant voice but led a life full of sorrow and disappointment. Although he was known for many roles on screen, Dano often felt overshadowed by more famous co-stars, which led to bouts of depression and insecurity about his career. His solid marriage to Peggy Dano was a highlight in his life, but the death of his son, Royal Edward Dano Jr., in 1994 devastated him emotionally. This tragedy left him reeling, and he never fully recovered. Despite owning a home in Los Angeles filled with cherished memorabilia from his long career, Dano found no solace in his final years. His financial assets, estimated at about $1 million, were modest compared to many Hollywood actors, but his estate remained in the hands of his family, serving as a reminder of his contributions to the entertainment industry. His health deteriorated, compounded by the weight of personal tragedy, leading to a heart attack that caused his death on May 15, 1994, at the age of 71. Dano left behind a respected artistic legacy, but his life was always linked to pain and loss. Strother Martin, who played Narim in Lost in Space in 1966, was a character actor known for his distinctive voice and southern charm, but his off-screen life was full of struggles. Though his film career was successful with many roles as villains and eccentric characters, Martin always yearned for leading roles, an opportunity he never received. His lengthy marriage to Helen Meisels also faced difficulties as Martin battled alcoholism, leading to prolonged separations and emotional turmoil. Despite achieving a modest fortune and owning an elegant home in Los Angeles, Martin never felt secure about his financial situation, constantly worrying about the future. He also took great pride in his collection of vintage firearms. However, his later years were tragic as his alcoholism and mounting stress worsened his health. Martin developed serious heart problems and died of a heart attack on August 1, 1980, at the age of 61. Although his career left a mark, his life was a hard journey, filled with misfortune that prevented him from ever finding the satisfaction he craved. Michael Ansara, who played the ruler in Lost in Space in 1966, experienced a career full of highs and lows and profound personal upheavals. Although his Hollywood career made an impact, especially in roles as Middle Eastern villains or historical warriors, Ansara always felt boxed into these characters and longed to showcase more emotional depth. His marriage to actress Barbara Eden, though famous, was also tumultuous, and their greatest pain was the tragic death of their son, Matthew Ansara, in 2001 from a drug overdose. While his career brought him many successes, Ansara's personal life was riddled with hardships, filled with tragedies and losses. His estate, which included a luxury home in Calabasas, California, and a collection of valuable artifacts, was estimated at about $2 million. In his later years, Ansara battled Alzheimer's disease, which gradually robbed him of the ability to recognize his loved ones. He passed away on July 31, 2013, at the age of 91, from complications of the disease. His legacy lives on in the hearts of his fans and family, a pillar of the entertainment industry, though his life was marked by sorrow and struggle. Werner Klemperer, who played Bolix in Lost in Space in 1966, was a major talent in both film and television. Although he achieved great success in the role of Colonel Klink on Hogan's Heroes, a role for which he won an award, Klemperer felt frustrated by the industry's failure to recognize his range as an actor. His first marriage to Susan Dempsey ended in divorce, and although he found companionship with actress Kim Hamilton later, he never remarried. Financially, Klemperer was fortunate to have a stable estate, owning a home in New York City and a collection of classical music recordings, reflecting his passion for opera. His estate was valued at around $3 million, well managed and still owned by his family. However, his later years were plagued by declining health and an ongoing battle with cancer. He passed away on December 6, 2000, at the age of 80, leaving behind a memorable legacy in the entertainment world, though his life was not without its challenges. Liam Sullivan, who played Nexus in Lost in Space in 1966, was a talented actor with big ambitions, but his career never saw the rewards that matched his potential. Trained and passionate about theater, Sullivan felt that television roles never satisfied his artistic passion and craving for meaningful work. Despite recognizing his own potential, he struggled to find larger opportunities and frequently felt disappointed by the lack of recognition from the film industry. Sullivan's private life was also filled with loneliness. He never married, had no children, and had very few close friends. Some believed he was too reserved, while others thought he struggled to form deep emotional relationships. Over time, he withdrew from the entertainment industry, disillusioned by the lack of substantial roles and recognition. In his final years, Sullivan lived mostly in isolation, spending his time reading and reflecting on what might have been. His estate, worth about $1.5 million, included a home in Los Angeles and a few vintage cars, but most of this wealth was donated to charities and distant relatives. He passed away on April 19, 1998, at the age of 74, from a heart attack, leaving behind a legacy of quiet influence in the film industry. Henry Jones, who played Jeremiah Smith in Lost in Space in 1966, was a respected supporting actor, but his career did not bring the financial success he had hoped for. Although he frequently appeared in films and television shows, Jones was often relegated to minor roles that lacked distinction, leaving him feeling underrated in the film industry. His marriage, which lasted many years, was fraught with difficulties, with his wife dissatisfied with his frequent absences and excessive devotion to his work. Their relationship became increasingly strained, and his wife eventually distanced herself from the entertainment industry. In his later years, Jones became more reclusive and anxious about being forgotten. A serious accident at his home in Los Angeles led to severe health complications, resulting in his death on May 17, 1999, at the age of 86. Nevertheless, his legacy, valued at around $1 million, included his home and a modest collection of movie memorabilia, marking the life of a man dedicated to his craft with quiet achievements in the entertainment industry. Dennis Patrick, who played Kima in Lost in Space in 1966, was a veteran actor with a long and challenging career, but his personal life was filled with misfortune. Despite maintaining steady work, he struggled financially and often took on roles he found uninteresting. His marriage faced strain as he battled alcoholism, and the greatest tragedy of his life was the loss of his only son in a car accident. This shock caused him to retreat into seclusion, living in the past and seeking comfort in old mementos. In his later years, Patrick lived alone in his Hollywood Hills home, with his health deteriorating and his mind haunted by regret. Another tragedy occurred when a fire broke out in his home, trapping him inside and destroying much of his estate, valued at around $1.5 million, leaving behind only a few belongings for distant relatives. Dennis Patrick eventually died on October 13, 2002, at the age of 84, from smoke inhalation during the fire, closing a life marked by sorrow and loss. Malachi Throne, who played the thief in Lost in Space in 1966, was a talented actor with a sharp intellect and intensity, but his career was not rewarded as Hollywood never gave him the recognition he deserved. Despite possessing a gravelly voice and an imposing presence, he was often cast in roles that did not allow him to fully showcase his talent, leading him to long for a breakthrough role he never got. His marriage was stable but often strained due to the precarious nature of an acting career. He and his wife had 2 children, both of whom shared his artistic spirit but chose careers outside of acting. In his later years, Malachi Throne faced health decline and a sense of being forgotten in a rapidly changing industry. However, he left behind a legacy valued at around $2 million, including his Brentwood home and a collection of scripts and rare memorabilia. Although Hollywood had changed, his family continued to preserve his legacy. Malachi Throne passed away on March 13, 2013, at the age of 84, from lung cancer, closing a life full of ups and downs and artistic desires that were never fully fulfilled. Gerald Moore, who made an impression with his role as Moore in Lost in Space in 1966, was a charming and suave actor, particularly notable for playing villains with a sweet yet sinister manner. However, his real-life journey was not as glamorous as the characters he portrayed. Despite a successful career in radio and television, Moore never achieved the level of fame he craved in Hollywood. His personal life was also turbulent, with 2 marriages failing due to accusations of infidelity and neglect. Without children to carry on his legacy, he sank into alcoholism, which further weakened his health. In his later years, Moore lived in isolation in a modest home in Los Angeles, surrounded by mementos from a career that never truly reached its full potential. His estate, valued at around $1 million, was ultimately left to distant relatives, many of whom were not very familiar with him. Gerald Moore passed away alone on November 9, 1968, at the age of 54, after a heart attack during a trip to Sweden, ending a life full of tragedy and unfulfilled dreams. Mercedes McCambridge, the talented actress known for her role as Sibylla in Lost in Space in 1966, left a lasting impression on audiences with her standout performances, especially her chilling voice in The Exorcist. However, her life was not just a series of successes on screen, but also a string of unforgettable challenges and tragedies. As a dedicated artist, McCambridge spent much of her life focusing on her career, which caused her to sacrifice many personal relationships, including 2 failed marriages. The greatest tragedy in her life was the heartbreaking death of her only son, John Markle. After killing his wife and daughters, John took his own life, leaving behind a letter blaming her, causing McCambridge to live in torment and guilt for years afterward. The death of her son led her to withdraw from the public eye, spending her final years in isolation. Though financially stable, with a modest home in La Jolla, California, and an estate valued at around $1 million, the painful memories made everything heavy and bleak for McCambridge. She passed away on March 2, 2004, at the age of 87 from natural causes, leaving behind a great career but filled with tragedy and sorrow. John Abbott, who played Sesmer in Lost in Space in 1966, was a respected actor known for his distinctive voice and dignified acting style, deeply influenced by Shakespeare. However, despite his professional acclaim, his personal life was filled with hardship. His lifelong dedication to acting prevented him from building lasting relationships, and he never married or had children. Although admired by colleagues for his intellect and talent, he was a distant figure who preferred solitude over making friends. The greatest sadness in his life was the decline of his career, as Hollywood changed and he struggled to find roles in his later years. His finances were modest, with a small home in Los Angeles and some valuable personal belongings. His estate, valued at around $1 million, was left to close friends, as he had no direct heirs. Although not widely recognized in his final years, John Abbott's contributions to film and theater continue to endure. He passed away on May 24, 1996, at the age of 90, after a battle with cancer, closing a life full of solitude and dreams that were never fully realized. James Westerfield, who portrayed Dr. Marvello in Lost in Space in 1966, made a strong impression on screen with his booming voice and commanding presence. However, behind his roles, he faced a life of hardship and sorrow. Despite securing steady work in Hollywood, Westerfield never achieved the fame he longed for. His marriages ended bitterly, with 2 divorces leaving him irritable and quick to anger, particularly due to his frustrations with his stagnant career. In his later years, he grew increasingly isolated, relying on alcohol to numb his pain. Though he had no children, Westerfield left behind a legacy that included a home in Los Angeles, a collection of rare movie posters, and about $1 million in savings. However, after his death on September 20, 1971, at the age of 58 from a heart attack, legal disputes among distant relatives caused his estate to be forgotten and delayed for many years. Westerfield's life story is a testament to the loneliness, career failures, and the price of disillusionment in a glamorous yet challenging world. Wally Cox, who played Tiago in Lost in Space in 1966, was a quiet and introverted man, known for his sense of humor and sharp intelligence. However, his real-life story was one of unfulfilled dreams and deep loneliness. Despite his comedic talent, he was often overshadowed by more dominant personalities in Hollywood, making it difficult for him to land leading roles in his career. His brief marriage to actress Marilyn Jenn ended in divorce, and afterward, he lived alone, with only a few close friendships, most notably with Marlon Brando. However, Cox's introverted nature and self-doubt led to deep depression, which worsened as the entertainment industry turned its back on him. Financially, he lived modestly, owning a small home in Los Angeles along with a collection of books and antique clocks. His estate, valued at around $500,000, caused controversy after his death, especially regarding the items he had given to Marlon Brando. In his final years, Cox was filled with regret, feeling that he had never truly reached his full potential. He passed away on February 15, 1973, at the age of 48 from a heart attack, bringing an end to a life filled with unfulfilled dreams and sorrow in solitude. Mike Kellin, who played Miko in Lost in Space in 1966, was a character actor with a rough exterior, but behind it, he led a life full of turmoil and complex emotions. Though successful on stage and screen, he never achieved long-term financial stability, which left him constantly worried about the future. Kellin's family life was also strained. After marrying actress Sally Moffat and having one child, the pressures of life in Hollywood and his strong personality created emotional distance in the family, leading to years of estrangement. The greatest pain of his life came when his only son, struggling with addiction, cut off all contact with him, leaving him with feelings of guilt and isolation. Although he owned a comfortable home in Nyack, New York, and a modest convertible, Kellin's net worth, estimated at around $1 million, significantly decreased due to medical expenses in his later years. He passed away on August 26, 1983, at the age of 61 from lung cancer, ending a life full of sorrow and regrets over relationships that could never be repaired. How do you feel about the passing of the Lost in Space actors? Share your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for the latest videos.